what's really appropriate software for my company? The answer is that's not such an easy answer, but the easiest part of that answer is it really depends on what business you're in. So rather than go down that theory path, I'm going to give some specific examples of what you might want to look for or think about in applications because your business might be different than something else. So, for example, take into context that everything I'm going to describe is in addition to managing payables and receivables and all the standard accounting information system things you'd expect. If you're in this kind of an organization that I'm going to describe, there's going to be certain things that are going to be unique to the software you're going to want to put into your company that may actually preclude you from looking at software product A, B, and C, but maybe D is really good for you, okay? So, and maybe D has some competitors you're going to want to look at. So the idea is, let's remember you're going to have some foundational process that every accounting information system is going to have to do for pretty much paying bills and collecting cash and recording general ledger information and reporting on your financials. Right there. Below that level, now you start thinking about industry-specific or business differentiating processes. Medical device comes to mind, pharmaceutical organizations. These are companies that are typically, whether you're in the US or anywhere, they're very regulated for good reason. And really accounting systems and information systems related to that area have to focus on different things. Okay, they have to focus on things like product and component traceability, forwards and backwards. Okay, throughout the process, what are the origins of everything that we produced? And ultimately, where did they end up going? Even down to the level of, did a certain patient get that product? And who is that patient? Okay, it really is very, very important in some regulated environments. Also, let's talk about the batch history records. Okay, that may sound very uninteresting to you if you're a professional service provider doing accounting and auditing today, but if you're in a medical device company and you're responsible for regulatory, it's really important to track things like, okay, when was this lot made? What were the components of the lot? What was all the ingredients in this particular batch of pharmaceutical product, for example? We have to keep that on file for a long time. Things can be inspected, and when issues come up, such as in a recall, you might have a problem if you don't have that data. And frankly, regulatorily, if you don't have that, you can actually be fined or potentially put out of business. So again, foundational financial applications followed at a lower level by what are we doing for our business? And in this case, it was that particular med device and pharma example. Speeding up a little bit, we're going to get through a few more. Software, for example. Software organizations, very common, certainly a very technology-focused world that we're in today. They've got some issues. The issues beyond the foundation include a couple of things. Complex revenue recognition. Seems that those things are changing on a regular basis, the regulations are, and that's important to keep up on, and products are certainly geared in certain cases to manage that. Same thing with deferred revenue management. You've got all kinds of situations where you have people that are essentially recognizing revenue over a subscription period. Okay, that's not so easy for some software. For other software, it's okay. Nonprofit organizations have issues here for how they record and report on what they call programs, and also how their financial statements look. We all know that balance sheets look a little bit different, as do profit and loss or operating statements for a nonprofit. As a result, those have specific kinds of accounting and information systems needs and also product choices that are more geared towards that world. Other things that come up, for example, that require different types of application emphasis would be things like multi-entity or multi-location, where you need to deal with consolidation accounting processes as well as monthly closing efficiency tools. Very important. May not be important for a single location garment maker, but at the end of the day, there's a whole lot of value for somebody who's doing a multinational, multi-language, multi-currency environment that really needs a lot of those functionalities. Now, we can get into the gradients of where you start with an accounting application that has very basic foundation and that's all it has. That may work for a lot of organizations, but as organizations grow, they usually need something that is more attributable and more focused on their kind of business. Fortunately, good news is, if you're the kinds of organizations I've just described, and there are many others as well, you'll find yourself to be in a situation where there are typically several choices that are going to get you to where you need to be so you can manage your information in your industry's business much better than if you were using something that's a little bit more basic. Don't be on the cutting edge. I know a lot of people say, go there, it's exciting, it's fun, you've got the newest iPhone, you've got the newest this, you've got the newest that. In the world of accounting and information systems, it's probably not the best thing to just go cutting edge, technology forward, technology for technology's sake, which happens unfortunately all the time, and be the first on your block to have this great new software application, unless it's necessary. And there may be situations where it's necessary, but really what we're finding is software vendors sometimes are in a hurry to get things out, and they want to publish it quickly, and they want to start upgrading people and get all kinds of things going because it helps their revenue cycle, and it certainly helps people keep a buzz about their product. Problem is though that really the bugs that can happen, from early adoption and that sort of thing really can add up and present risks to your company that you probably don't want to face. Processing might be messed up. You might have situations where reporting isn't going how it was supposed to. And an upgrade from version A to version B, for example, maybe what you did before isn't working so well in the new one, and they have to wait for the next release to fix that. So be a little wary when the vendors are pushing you to upgrade quickly or go buy the newest thing that touches this, because typically in software, and I think we've seen this in technology as a whole, things typically get better and much more robust and much more integrated and much more proven, effective over periods of time as opposed to right away. So just a word of caution, because it does hurt companies on a regular basis. People are eager to go right into the cloud, and as much as they can, because it sounds and feels like the right thing to do. And certainly our media and our professional affiliations are talking through the whole movement to cloud is a big deal, and it's very important to think about it and consider it for your company. At the end of the day, though, there's a lot of risk involved. So let's talk about some of those risks and how they can be managed. First off, you want to kind of take a look at, if you are looking at a cloud computing provider, or sometimes called a SaaS provider, which stands for Software as a Service, you want to look and see, how long have they been in business? Are they somebody that we look like we can trust with our information? Because this information is valuable and it's ours, it's not theirs. Are they going to take care of it? How long have they been in business? And also, does it look like they have a decent chance of having some sustenance to their business? Keep in mind, of course, bankrupt SaaS companies happen, and that's not a good thing if they've got your data. On that note, how can we also deal with, getting our data back? Things can happen in a way where if a company does go out of business that's got your data, what do? Well, you can build into contractual agreements, and you can also deal with certain ways to have sets of reporting and other data dumps done for you on a regular basis, so that you can get your data on a regular basis through the use of the software, so that if something does happen to that company and you need to get your data back, you kind of have your data already, as opposed to figuring out through bankruptcy courts and other things that's going to be a problem. Another area, though, and of course this is CPA specific, is that we provide things called Service Organization Control Audits, also known as SOC or SOC. These things are very important. They generally focus on people like software as a service companies as one category of people that have SOC reports, to make sure that they are pretty much taking care of the store. Are they looking at the security around how they're managing your information and also their infrastructure? Are they worried about processing integrity? Well, we can audit some of these things. So service organization control audits, certainly another discipline with a whole lot of other education around it for another time, are ways to, though, provide some assurance that when you're working with a software company and you're thinking about buying their software, if they have a SOC audit because it's appropriate to do so and that they're managing your data ultimately, it's another way to kind of go up the notch of comfort that you're getting in bed with a decent partner in your software space. When we meet with clients and we talk about what they're looking for in their potential software upgrade or software project, one of the things that comes up from most of the executives that we speak with, not usually the rank and file, but it comes up from the executives, and they'll say, we don't want a customized project. We don't want to customize anything. And then sometimes we have to ask, well, what does customization or customizing mean to you? And often there's a kind of a blank stare. They just assume it has to do with some hocus pocus or something that goes on with programming. But really, there's a couple things that we should do here. First, let's talk about what customization means, and then we're going to address a little bit about what kind of applications in the accounting information space can and can't be customized. First off, customization is one phrase that has to be thought of in the kind of compendium of customization, as opposed to over here configuration. And then in the middle, there's this thing like modification. But let's start with configuration first. Configuration is something that is the art of actually taking the business application that you bought and making it do whatever it can do that applies best to your business. Okay, there's a lot of different options, just like when you do other things with your car, you don't always have to use it the same way every day. Well, accounting software, for example, can be used differently depending on a company that is using it. So, for example, you may or may not want to do electronic bank transfers. Well, configuration options in accounting systems typically let you turn that switch on or off. That's just configuration. It's not a customization. A modification might be, well, we'd like to kind of take the screen where we enter information and move this field over here that says customer number. Our users like to have it over here. Well, that's kind of a modification, if you will. That's really not coding. That's not heavy duty work, but it's not configuring. You're not just turning a yes or a no or something like that in the configuration tool. Then you get to the customization process. Customization is ramp and just with lots of risk. However, sometimes it's necessary. So what I would suggest is that keep in mind, if you have a situation where you've got a software application that just is not capable of getting you over the fence of getting a particular process managed the way that you'd like to do, sometimes if you can't leave that software, or if that software is able to be customized, meaning someone actually has to write code to do something for you, it's okay to customize. You might want to have it take a process a little bit further. Not just print a check, but also send a copy that might be PDF to this particular place and have a little approval set up for somebody to look at it. Things like that may not be standard process that's configurable, but it may be something that we can customize through using the vendor to write something special about their software. A couple points to keep in mind, though. ERP products are typically much more customizable for things like I've just described than would be something like accounting applications. Okay, very basic accounting applications are really not intended to be going beyond what they already provide for you. Okay, ERP products, some of them are actually extremely versatile, such that it's expected that people are going to write code around that product to do things it doesn't already do in a way that it looks and feels like it's the same product and it's actually written in the same kind of code. Very normal, but again, ripe with risks. Okay, make sure you're going to do a customization, if you do, with the kind of vendor that you can trust, that has some reliable backup, okay, that isn't just one person typically in a garage. That's a concern, but that you're working with a firm that is in the business of doing some sort of customization, okay? Because if you don't, you really want to expose your company to a lot of risk at that point. It's not appropriate.